Mosquitoes cause more than 1 million deaths and 700 million cases of disease every year. But even if you put those scary numbers aside, they're still a real pain, ruining BBQs, making you not even want to sit out on the porch, and turning your yard into a place nobody wants to step into. So what have we done to deal with mosquitoes? Every year, about 2 million tons of pesticides are used worldwide, but they also kill creatures that help us, like birds, dragonflies, and butterflies. And the worst part is, they make mosquitoes resistant and harder to kill. Basically, we're helping mosquitoes evolve. We can't keep leaning so hard on chemicals. It's time to bring in physics. With just these two pieces of metal, using an electrochemical mechanism in moist soil, I'm going to show you how to repel, trap, and even kill thousands of mosquitoes every night. But after that, I'll also reveal a plant that is a natural enemy of mosquitoes, used by indigenous people in North America to make mosquito-repelling smoke. And it can be turned into a solution stronger than DEET. You can absolutely grow it as a line of defense. Watch this video now, because in just 1 week, you could clear mosquitoes out of your yard without using a single drop of chemicals. Before I show you exactly how to do it, I need to tell you why I'm even looking for a new method in the first place. If you've been following me for a while, you know I've dragged all kinds of things out into the yard to go to war with mosquitoes. Fan traps, bottle traps, bucket traps, homemade candles, and ancient powders. And to be fair, they all work. But once you live with them for an entire summer, you start seeing the downside. I had to replace them all the time, and they were always in the way. One time, my family was having a backyard cookout. Everyone was having a good time, and then my nephew ran across the porch and kicked straight into the bucket trap I had left next to the walkway. Water spilled everywhere, bait splattered all over the place, and while I was cleaning it up, I kept thinking, there has to be a less annoying way, right? Then when I looked at the bigger picture, I realized that a lot of the ways people deal with mosquitoes still revolve around chemicals: spraying, fogging, burning, rubbing things on, sprinkling things around. I'm not against every kind of spray. Sometimes they're necessary. Of course, I want to drive mosquitoes away, but I don't want to hurt bees, butterflies, dragonflies, birds, and the creatures that are quietly helping my garden stay balanced. So this time, I wanted to try a completely different direction. Not chemicals anymore, but physics. And while I was digging into it, I came across earth battery. Basically, you place two different metals, like copper and zinc, into moist soil. The moist soil basically works like an electrolyte. The two metals react differently, and that system can create a very small electric current. This part isn't magic, it's basic electrochemistry. I know you're probably itching to hear how to make it. But I think we need to answer this question first. How exactly could earth battery affect mosquitoes? I've seen 3 scientific hypotheses that are worth looking at. The first hypothesis, and also the most promising one, is that an electric field may make mosquitoes avoid an area. This is not made up. Some recent studies show that female mosquitoes looking for a host can be slowed down, redirected, or pushed away by electric fields. The second hypothesis is that insects are more sensitive to electrical environments than we think. Their bodies are small and light, with antennae and sensory hairs, and they read their surroundings really well. A clear enough electric field could throw off those sensory structures, make them uncomfortable, or make them change direction. The third hypothesis is smaller, but I still think it's worth paying attention to. 2 metals in moist soil may create a few very local changes around the spot where they're inserted. A little bit of ions, a little bit of charge, a little bit of reaction in the soil. Maybe those changes aren't enough to create a big shield around the whole yard. But in gardening, sometimes a small change in the right spot can still make a difference. I don't want to set the wrong expectations here. I see earth battery as a new layer worth testing. Not something to believe in blindly, but not something to ignore either. The fairest way is to try it, observe it, and record the results. So right now I'm going to show you how to make it and test it together. And no more beating around the bush. This is the first method, and it's also the one I want you to pay the most attention to. A small earth battery station in a terracotta pot. The materials are simple. You need a copper stake, a galvanized steel stake or a zinc stake, a terracotta pot, some clean soil, and water to keep it moist. But before you run out to the store and buy new things, look around the house first. A piece of old copper pipe, bare copper wire, Leftover copper from a plumbing repair or an old galvanized metal rod can still work if it's clean and safe. Buying new can cost money, but if you recycle old stuff, the cost of the metal part is almost $0. This is how I usually do it. The traps in my earlier videos, from plastic bottles to Crisco candles, all started with one very simple question. What do I already have at home that I can use? And here's how I do it. I pour soil into the terracotta pot, then moisten the soil first. I just want the soil damp enough to conduct better than dry soil. Then I push the copper stake into one side of the pot and the galvanized stake into the other side. The two stakes should be far enough apart that they don't touch but still inside the same mass of moist soil. Make sure they're firmly in place because if they're not, they can cause trouble. Simple, right? But there's one thing I want to emphasize. There are quite a few videos online that just tell you to stick two stakes randomly into the yard, but I don't do that. My little secret is this terracotta pot. It sounds very ordinary, but to me, this is what makes this method work much better. The terracotta pot helps me control the moisture better. It has a drainage hole, so it doesn't turn into a puddle of stagnant water. If I put it in the wrong spot, I can carry it to another corner. And more importantly, it looks neat. More like part of the garden than a homemade mosquito trap sitting awkwardly in the middle of the house. So what is this little station supposed to do? I'm not expecting it to shoot electricity or shock anything to death. It's not an electric fence. The idea here is much gentler. Copper and zinc are two different metals. When they sit together in moist soil, they can create a very small electrical difference. The area around the pot may create a light signal that mosquitoes don't like flying close to. The second method still uses copper, but don't confuse it with the earth battery station. This is a different mechanism, aimed at a different target. Larvae in standing water. The method is very simple, but you have to use it in the right place. First, any standing water you can dump it out. That is still the best method. But for small water spots you can't deal with right away, like rain barrels, water catch trays, small buckets in the yard, plant saucers, or a stagnant corner of water that is not used for pets, you can place a clean piece of copper in it. It can be a piece of copper pipe, bare copper wire, or a clean piece of copper. So what is copper in water supposed to do? Mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water, and larvae live in that exact environment. When copper sits in water, over time it can create a very small amount of copper ions. That environment may become less friendly to the larvae. At this point you may want to try it right away, but before that, I want to lock in a few quick safety rules. Don't place stakes in walkways. Don't leave sharp metal tips exposed. Don't put wires or stakes anywhere kids, dogs, or cats can easily pull them, chew on them, or trip over them. And don't drop copper into fish ponds, ponds with frogs, pet drinking water, poultry waterers, or anywhere with sensitive living things you want to protect. Most importantly, you need to combine this method with the habit of cleaning up the yard and dumping standing water. Because if you don't, mosquitoes will still come back and you'll think this method doesn't work. That's not it. We just haven't done enough. But I also have to be honest with you that these two copper and zinc stakes can't solve every mosquito problem. To protect your yard, I still need a stronger layer of defense, still natural and safe for pets and kids, without any complicated steps. It has to do with a plant you may already know. I know a lot of you have seen my earlier videos about plants that can help repel mosquitoes, but in a video about copper, zinc, and earth battery, why am I bringing Sweetfern into this? Because Sweetfern is not just a pretty plant for decoration, it really is a mosquito's enemy. Sweetfern, scientific name Comptonia peregrina, sounds like a fern, but it is not actually a fern. It is a low-growing woody shrub with long narrow leaves and slightly wavy leaf edges, often found in the eastern and northeastern United States. You can find it along forest edges, roadsides, sandy areas, poor soil, acidic soil, or slightly wild corners where many other plants do not like to live. Most of us walk right past it, but this is the most special part. If you crush Sweetfern leaves in your hand, you will understand why I pay attention to it. The leaves have a very clear smell, kind of resin-like, kind of piney, kind of herbal, and this is not just my own feeling. Sweetfern has been recorded in indigenous and folk knowledge in North America as a plant used to drive insects away. The leaves can be crushed or tossed into a fire to create smoke that helps keep mosquitoes away. Later on, Essential oil from sweetfern leaves was also studied for its components and was found to have repellent activity against mosquitoes, black-legged ticks, and some other insects. The first way to use it is very simple. Grow it as a source plant, then use the fresh leaves when you need them. If sweetfern can grow in your area, put it in a sandy spot, poor soil, well-drained soil, along a fence line, or in a slightly wild corner of the garden. I grow it so that when I need it, I have fragrant leaves right there in the yard. When I go out to water plants, pull weeds, or sit on the porch, I just pick a few leaves, crush them to release the scent, then rub them on my hat, sleeves, pant legs, or the outside of my clothes. The second way is to make a little sweetfern smoke when you are sitting on the porch and want mosquitoes to stay away right then. You can use a small amount of dried leaves or slightly wilted leaves, put them into an outdoor fire, glowing coals, or a safe burn pot. All you need is a light, fragrant smoke around the sitting area, enough so your human scent does not stand out the way it did before. This method is for outdoor use only. Avoid using it near small children, people with asthma, people sensitive to smoke, and always pay attention to fire safety. But my favorite way is still making a small sweetfern spray bottle so I can bring it with me whenever I step into the garden. I pick a handful of clean sweetfern leaves, shake off the dust or rinse them and let them drain. Then I crush, pound, or lightly blend them so the leaves release their scent. I always prefer doing this instead of buying essential oil because fresh leaves work much better. Put the leaves into a glass jar, then pour in cheap base alcohol until the leaves are covered. I like using vodka or some kind of drinkable alcohol rather than rubbing alcohol, because this solution may touch near skin and clothing. I close the lid, put it in the fridge for about 48 hours, and gently shake it once a day. After that, I strain it through a coffee filter so the spray bottle does not clog, then pour it into a small spray bottle and label it. When I use it, I spray it first on my hat, sleeves, pant legs, and the outside of my clothes. If you want to test it on skin, try it on a small area first, because natural does not mean it works for everyone. So my system now has 3 layers. 1 layer placed in the yard, 1 layer for dealing with standing water, and 1 layer that comes with me when I go into the garden. It is not magic, but it is a neat, cheap system with fewer chemicals, and it is worth testing for yourself. So yes, this is still our mosquito control series, but I have to ask you honestly, what do you think of today's video? Is it strange? Because this time, we did not start with spray, we did not start with scent, and we did not start with a familiar trap. We started with physics. Maybe this is one of the most controversial methods I have ever tried in my own yard, but to me, it is still worth trying. Because if you do it right, the side effects are almost very low, the cost can be almost nothing if you reuse old materials, and it points toward a more sustainable, longer-lasting way to fight mosquitoes. What about you? Do you have any other tricks? Is there any interesting physical method I should try next? Lately, I have been really excited about this direction, so I would really love to read what you have to share. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button. This series is still going, and I think the next videos will be even more interesting.